Let's start with a reality check that happened in my office just last week. My sales team, the guys who spend 8 hours a day on the phones talking to real business owners, started coming back to me with a very specific kind of intel. They were hearing a phrase that acts like a virus in the business world. Hey, things are just slow right now. It's a classic. It's the ultimate polite way to say no without having to explain why. But here is the danger. If you hear that 10 times in a row, you start to believe it's a universal truth. You start to think, oh, I guess the world is just closed for business today. In the high-stakes world of executive recruiting and headhunting, this is where most people fold. They hear business is slow and they take a longer lunch break. They stop sending that extra email. They assume the market has spoken. But in the Jewish financial tradition, we look at this feedback differently. We don't see it as a stop sign, we see it as a filter. When people say things are slow, they are revealing their own internal state, not the state of the universe. They've let a collective mood dictate their actions. If you listen to that and take it as gospel, you've essentially let a stranger's bad mood become your financial destiny. We have to break that cycle immediately. I want to be very clear about something. I don't care about the charts. I don't care about the Federal Reserve's latest 500-page report, and I certainly don't care about the shouting matches on CNN or Fox Business. Those things are what I call the paper. It's data on a page, usually looking at things that happened 3 to 6 months ago. It's like trying to drive a car while looking only at the rear-view mirror. You're going to crash. What I care about is the pulse. The pulse is what's happening right now in the trenches, on the phone calls and in the DMs. When my team tells me people are saying business is slow, that is a pulse reading. But here is the secret. A weak pulse in the general market is actually a buy signal for me. It means the competition is getting scared. It means they're distracted by the headlines. While they are at home watching the paper economy collapse on TV, I'm looking for the heartbeat of the next deal in the pulse economy. You have to decide which one you're going to follow. Are you going to follow the statistics of millions of strangers, or are you going to follow the reality of the people you can actually serve today? There's a common psychological trap we all fall into. We feel like we need the world to be okay before we allow ourselves to be successful. We wait for the right interest rates, the right political climate, or the right season. That is the trap of external validation. If you study the history of Jewish wealth, you'll notice a pattern. Many of the greatest fortunes were built when the world was in total chaos. Why? Because these builders realized that their business isn't a satellite orbiting the global economy. It's its own planet with its own gravity. If you believe your success is tied to the macro economy, you've surrendered your power. You've basically said, I'll only be wealthy if the government does a good job. I don't know about you, but I'm not willing to bet my family's future on the government's ability to manage a budget. You have to decouple your brain from the macro and focus on the micro. Your growth is a result of your strategy and your sweat, not the Fed's interest rate hikes. The moment you stop looking for external permission to grow is the moment your true wealth building begins. If you're ready to stop being a victim of the headlines and start building your own treasury, make sure you hit that follow button for Solomon's Treasury. We're just getting started on this journey. Let's look at the math, because the math is where the fear usually dies. Take a giant like Amazon. In 2023, Amazon accounted for about 37.6% of the entire US e-commerce market. That is an insane amount of territory. When you own that much of the pie, you are the pie. If the global economy dips even 1%, Amazon loses billions of dollars. They are like a massive oil tanker in the middle of a storm. They can't turn quickly, and they feel every single wave. If people spend less on stuff globally, Amazon has a bad year. They are tied to the mast of the global economic ship. But here is the mistake. You think you are Amazon. You hear on the news that consumer spending is down 2%, and you start acting like your business is about to go under. But do you own 37% of the market? Do you even own 1%? For 99.9% of us, the answer is a resounding no. We aren't the oil tanker. We are the guy on the jet ski. A storm that sinks a tanker might just be a fun ride for a jet ski. We need to get real about what small actually means. In the United States, the official definition of a small business is one that has between 100 and 1,500 employees and generates anywhere from $1 million to $40 million a year in revenue. Think about that. If you have 10 employees and you're doing $2 million a year, the government barely even considers you a small business. You're basically microscopic to them. And that is your superpower. When you are that small, you have no market share to lose. If there are 10,000 potential clients in your city and you only have 50 of them, why do you care if the economy is slow? Even if 50% of the market disappears, there are still 5,000 potential clients left. You only need a tiny, infinitesimal sliver of the world to be thriving. The giants are fighting over the 1% changes in the whole world. You are fighting to find 10 more people to say yes. When you realize how small you are, the scary global economy suddenly stops being scary. Having zero market share is the ultimate competitive advantage during a recession. Why? Because you can grow by 100%, 200%, or even 500% while the rest of the world is shrinking by 2%. If you sell a niche product or service, your growth isn't limited by the spending power of the nation. It's limited only by your ability to find the few thousand people who still need what you have. While the big guys are laying off thousands of people to protect their profit margins, you can be out there picking up the customers they've neglected. In a recession, the big companies get efficient, which usually means they provide worse service. That is your opening. You don't need the whole market to be up. You just need to be better than the guy next door who stopped trying because he watched too much CNN. You make your own luck by realizing you are too small to be affected by the weather of the global markets. Do you think your business is actually large enough to be affected by global trends? Or have you been using the economy as a shield for your own lack of results lately? Be honest with yourself. Let's talk about it in the comments. Let's talk about what it actually takes to win when the world says things are slow. Most people think that if the economy slows down by 10%, they just need to work 10% harder. That's not how physics works, and it's definitely not how business works. In a down market, the resistance in the air is thicker. It's like trying to run through water instead of air. If you maintain your normal speed, you're actually going to slow down and eventually stop. To even stay in the same place, you have to double your effort. To move forward, you have to triple or quadruple it. This is what I call the engine strategy. When the feedback says business is slow, that is the light on your dashboard telling you to floor the gas pedal. You don't wait for the water to get shallower. You just get a bigger engine and push through. The wealthy understand that effort isn't a fixed amount. It's a variable that you control based on the resistance of the market. When my sales team tells me that our current database is giving us not right now answers, I don't tell them to spend more time convincing those people. I tell them to go find a bigger pool. If your closing rate drops from 10% to 5% because people are tighter with their money, the solution isn't to complain about the 5% you lost. The solution is to talk to 4 times as many people. This is pure volume. Most businesses fail in a recession because they try to keep their old habits in a new environment. If it took 50 calls to get a lead last year and it takes 150 calls now, then you do 150 calls. You don't get to argue with the market. You just have to decide if you want the lead badly enough to do the work. Extending your database is a fancy way of saying, go talk to people you've been ignoring. There is always money moving. It just might be moving in different circles than you're used to. Marketing is usually the first thing businesses cut when they're scared. They call it trimming the fat, but they're actually cutting the muscle. This is a massive gift to you. Imagine you're walking down a street where everyone is shouting. It's hard to be heard, right? Now imagine 90% of those people suddenly get scared and go inside their houses. The street is empty. Even if you just whisper, everyone can hear you. That is what a recession is for marketing. When your competitors stop running ads, stop posting on social media, and stop showing up at events, the cost of attention drops through the floor. This is your time to double down. You should be everywhere. You should be the only name your prospects see for 6 months straight. By the time your competitors feel safe enough to come back outside, you will have already captured all their customers. You don't save your way to wealth in a recession. You spend and work your way to market dominance. If you had to double your sales calls or your marketing budget tomorrow, which one would you choose to grow your personal economy? Let's hear your strategy in the comments. The biggest trap your competitors are falling into right now is what I call the waiting room. They are waiting for the interest rates to drop. They are waiting for the election results. They are waiting for their brother-in-law to tell them things are picking up. Waiting is a slow-motion suicide for a business. While they are in the waiting room, their momentum is dying. Their skills are getting rusty. Their best employees, the ones with ambition, are looking for the exit because they don't want to follow a leader who is waiting for permission to win. In the Jewish business tradition, we are taught that time is the most precious commodity. You can always make more money, but you can't make more Tuesday. If you waste this slow period waiting, you are losing the only thing you can't replace. Your competitor's fear is a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. Fill that space before they wake up. When a recession hits, entire niches become ghost towns. Maybe it's luxury landscaping or high-end consulting or specific manufacturing sectors. People stop calling, so the businesses in those sectors stop answering. But here is the thing. The customers didn't disappear. They still have needs. They still have problems that need solving. They just don't have anyone proactively trying to help them. These are the ghost towns of the economy. You can walk in, set up your shop, and take the entire territory without a fight. While everyone else is fighting over the safe industries, you should be looking for where the silence is the loudest. Go where the competition has fled. It's much easier to be the king of a ghost town than to be a peasant in a crowded city. Look for the abandoned leads and the forgotten clients. They are waiting for someone like you to show up. Pushing when others are pulling back does more than just make you money. It builds a psychological moat around your business. When your team sees you turning up the engines instead of cutting staff, their loyalty skyrockets. They stop being afraid of the news and start focusing on the mission. This creates a culture of winning that is impossible for your competitors to replicate once the economy gets good again. You are training your business muscles in high-gravity conditions. When the gravity finally lets up and the economy improves, you will be 10 times stronger than everyone else. Your competitors, who spent the last year waiting, will be weak and sluggish. A recession isn't just a time to make money. It's a time to out-train everyone in your field. You aren't just surviving a storm, you're learning how to sail in a hurricane so that a normal breeze feels like a superpower. Have you noticed your competitors slowing down or waiting lately? Is that a warning to you or a massive green light to take over their territory? Tell me your move below. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a mentor of mine years ago. He had this beautiful, thriving company. From the outside, it looked like he was printing money. I told him, "Man, I'm in the wrong industry. Your business is so easy. The grass is so green over here." He looked at me, didn't smile, and said, "I have one of the hardest businesses in the entire world. People just don't realize it because I don't let them see the work." He taught me that everyone thinks the other guy has it easier. They think a different industry or a better economy is the secret sauce. But the truth is, every business is a grind. Every industry has slow feedback. The only reason his grass looked green was because he was out there every single morning watering it, fertilizing it, and pulling the weeds while everyone else was complaining about the drought. The Jewish money secret isn't about some ancient hidden ritual. It's about the concept of stewardship. It's the idea that you are responsible for the territory you've been given. If your business is struggling, the answer isn't to look at the global economy. The answer is to look at your own grass. Are you watering your leads? Are you fertilizing your relationships? Are you pulling the weeds of negativity and laziness out of your team? The grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. If the guy next door is thriving in a bad economy, it's not because he's lucky. It's because he's taking better care of his grass than you are. He's pushing harder, calling more people, and refusing to let the news tell him how to feel. Your business is your sliver of paradise. It is your responsibility to keep it green, regardless of the weather outside. At the end of the day, you have a choice. You can be a victim of the global economy, or you can be the architect of your personal economy. Don't let the 24-hour news cycle dictate your bank account. Don't let a few slow phone calls stop your momentum. Sit down with your team, look them in the eye, and tell them, the world might be slow, but we are not. Double down. Push harder, extend your database. Mark it like your life depends on it, because while the rest of the world is waiting for the upturn, you'll be the one who already owns the market. The engines are primed, the path is clear. Now, go out there and build your treasury. Thank you so much for joining us here at Solomon's Treasury. If this perspective shift gave you the fire you needed to stop waiting and start winning, do us a huge favor. Smash that like button right now. It helps us get this message to more people who are stuck in the waiting room. Comment below with the word engine if you're committed to turning up the heat on your business this week, and tell us one specific action you're taking. Share this video with a friend who's been complaining about the economy. Help them change their mindset. And finally, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss our deep dives into the secrets of wealth. We'll see you in the next one. Now go build your own economy.